Yahoo Fantasy Football, the Tucson Tackle Dummies League has completed Week 13 in the regular season. This is your Week 13 quick take. We're going to jump through each matchup that made up Week 13 action and talk about where the playoff positioning stands with just 1 week remaining in the regular season. Let's start things off with the closest matchup of the week. Bucknuts knocked off Greek Thunderball 149.39 to 145.92. Bucknuts with the victory, now 9-4, clinching a playoff spot, and is now 4-1 against the Toro division. Greek Thunderball with the loss, 5-8, eliminated from playoff contention after their 4th straight loss. Bucknuts outscored Greek 20.15 to 5 in the Monday night contest for a comeback victory. Bucknuts, 2 running backs, Jarvis Green Ellis and Arian Foster, combined for 47.55 points. Greek Thunder still managed to win the offensive battle, though, 121.92 to 102.39. Greek had a game-high 30.5 out of Reggie Wayne, and the 2 tight end set of Vernon Davis and Anthony Fasano combined for 31.7 points. Chip in the fact that quarterback Aaron Rodgers also threw in 27.82 points to make the offense stellar this week. Bucknuts then turned around and outscored Greek on defense 47-24. Ray Lewis with 14.5 and the Seattle defense with 12 were the stars of the Bucknuts defense. Greek had 4 of 6 players on defense beat projections, but no defensive player scored more than 7 points. Greek also had a defensive back on the IR, and the Chicago Bears defense disappointed with a projected 14-plus score and then turning around and scoring just 3 points for the week. In another key matchup, the Pain Trains knocked off AZ Chargers 125.44 to 114.87. Pain with the victory, now 11-2. With their 10th straight victory, they've clinched the number 1 seed heading into the postseason. AZ Chargers 7-6 and now virtually eliminated from playoff contention as the 9 seed right now after being swept by Pain on the season. Pain, only 2 players on offense beat projections, and the team still managed to win. Team high 17.75 from 2 different players, Steven Jackson and Noshawn Moreno. Disappointment, though, on the offense from Eli Manning, which is 5.34. Fred Jackson turned in just 5.05, and the Arizona Cardinals combination at wide receiver of Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Breston suffered from the quarterback woes for that team. They combined for just 15.05 points. AZ Chargers had a game-high 22.3 from running back Brandon Jacobs. Jacobs, Mike Tolbert, and Mike Goodson at the running back position for AZ Chargers combined for 40.58 points, and then an additional 24 points were chipped in from Deion Branch and Chad Ochocinco at wide receiver, but there was disappointment at tight end as Greg Olson chipped in just 0.75 this week. Payne then won the defensive battle 51-32.5. with the Minnesota defense leading the way. 15 points for Pain Trains out of the Minnesota defense, and 4 of the 6 defensive slots beating projections. In another key matchup that wound up being not so key to everybody else, DM to Carp knocked off Herbie TG 121.61 to 110.14. Carp with the victory still wound up being eliminated from playoff contention due to the actions of CFL this week. Carp now 6-7 overall and snaps a 4-game losing streak with the victory. Herbie 5-8 with the loss, eliminated from playoff contention as well, and winds up ending a 3-week winning streak. Carp outscored Herbie 32.96 to 30.79 on Monday night, as both squads had a ton of players in the Monday night contest between the Jets and the Patriots. Carp had a team-high 19.05 out of Anquan Bolden, chip in 17.4 from Andre Johnson, and Danny Woodhead had 14.5. Disappointment, though, at the quarterback to wide receiver combination. Mark Sanchez to Braylon Edwards combined for just 10.96 this week. Herbie had only 1 player on offense beat projections. That was a game-high 29.34 out of Tom Brady. The 3 wide receivers started for Herbie, though. Hines Ward, Johnny Knox, Mike Thomas combined for just 9.8 this week. And then disappointment at the tight end position as Rob Gronkowski scored just 1.45 points. At running back, also disappointment. The 2 running backs, Tim Hightower and Chris Johnson for Herbie, projected 31-plus points and returned just 16.05. Carp then had a bright spot on defense as well, with the Cleveland defense returning 13 points this week. Herbie countered that with 15 points out of the linebacker from the Buffalo Bills, Paul Pozzolani. Jammed Toe got back to their winning ways, ending their only losing streak of the season, knocking off Shots 111.72 to 95.63. Toe with the victory, now 9-4, sweeping shots and ending, like I said, their only losing streak all year. But falling to third in the playoff seeding, despite winning, as Bearju wound up taking the division lead in the Wildcat division and has scored more points than Toe on the season. So Toe falls to third in the playoff seeding. Shots with the loss now 3-10, 1-5 in their own division, and scored under 100 points for the 8th straight week. Toe had 2 wide receivers, Roddy White and Tampa Bay's Mike Williams, combined for 24.3 points. Toe also had a game-high 19.52 out of quarterback Drew Brees. Disappointment, though, at 2 slots. Running back Reggie Bush, just 3.35 points, and tight end Dustin Keller, 3.45 points. Shots had a team-high 17.35 out of Robert Meacham at wide receiver, and then an additional surprise 16.15 out of running back Jonathan Stewart, who's been all but dead all season. But disappointment at quarterback, Kyle Orton, 2.68, and Randy Moss continues to be disappointing, 1.55 at wide receiver, as he is almost a non-start at this point. Jamto had 10.5 on defense out of defensive back Dante Whitner. Shots had no defensive players beat projections. And a huge matchup in the Wildcat division. Is this the CFL knocked off Big Ben's revenge? 121.65 to 104.45. CFL with the victory, now 8-5, a virtual lock for the playoffs with a 1-game lead and nearly 200-point advantage on 9th place in the standings. And that would be AZ Chargers. Big Ben with the loss, 8-5, has lost 4 straight divisional games, has only 1 victory within the division. That was week 1 against Bearju. CFL combined 52.75 points out of running backs Adrian Peterson and Chris Ivory. Peterson had 29.05 himself, and then a waiver wire pickup this week. Chris Ivory, huge pickup for CFL, as he returned 23.7 points this week. CFL also used the 2 tight end set this week, and unlike Greek Thunder, did not find success. Brandon Pettigrew had 4.85 points, and Todd Heap wound up injured and scored no points. Big Ben had 2 running backs score pretty well. Michael Turner and Jamal Charles combined for 28.9 points, but Big Ben started 2 inactive players, very uncharacteristic for Big Ben, starting John Carlson and Percy Harvin, who did not play this weekend. Could have probably cost Big Ben a shot at the victory. Had they been removed from the lineup, things might have been differently. Both teams had big returns at defensive back from individual players. CFL had Brent Grimes for 13.5 points, and Big Ben had Kerry Rhodes for 14 points. The rest of the defense lackluster. Diabetes knocked off Sixburg in a crucial Aztec division matchup, 102.56 to 82.95. Diabetes snaps a 6-game losing skid to go to 3-10, while Sixburg now 6-7, falling to Diabetes for the first time all season. For the first time all season, Sixburg loses within their own division, and this time fails to clinch. The Aztec division will play a must-win game against Polax next week to decide the division champion. Diabetes had 3 wide receivers, Johnson, Rice, and Garcon, combined for 52.8 points. The only offensive players beating projections, however, and Diabetes also started the inactive Joseph Adai. Sixburg, only 4 offensive players were active this week. Game high 27 points out of running back LaShawn McCoy. And a crucial matchup for the top of the Wildcat division, and Glorious Bearju walks away with a pretty clean victory over Delicious Pancakes, 128.53 to 100.74. Bearju 9-4 and clinches a playoff spot, taking the Wildcat division lead with their 6th straight victory. Pancakes 9-4 with the loss, clinches a playoff spot despite snapping a 6-game winning streak themselves. Bearju won despite only 4 players beating projections to Pancakes 5. Only 3 players in double digits for both squads, but for Bearju, all 3 of those players scored 20 points or more. Bearju had a game-high 29.88 out of Michael Vick. Greg Jennings chipped in 25.7. And then the running backs disappointed for Bearju this week. Peyton Hillis and Ray Rice combined for just 15.05 points. Pancakes on the offensive side, only 3 players in double digits as well. A team-high 19.25 out of Maurice Jones-Drew. Antonio Gates was back in action, 14.8 at tight end. And then the 3 wide receiver set for Pancakes did not work out this week, as Stevie Johnson, Desmond Mason, and Danny Amendola combined for just 11.95 points. And then on defense, the team defenses was the Battle of New York as the Jets and Giants faced off. Bearju started the New York Giants defense for 20 points this week, while Pancakes started the Jets defense for -1 as they got lit up by the New England Patriots. In the other crucial matchup in the Aztec division, Polax knocked off my Dirty Boys in an ugly one, 87.96 to 50.6 in the biggest victory of the week. Polax 5-8 now with the win and can still win the division if they pick up a win against Sixburg next week. Dirty Boys now 1-12, has to win next week to avoid becoming the worst team in league history. They are 1-12 at this point. Polax had a game-high 22.75 out of Ahmad Bradshaw. That accounted for 25% of the team's total score. Dirty Boys had only 5 players that did not score a single point, and the defense combined for a total of 4.5 points this week for Dirty Boys. Looking ahead to next week, only one playoff spot is going to be up for grabs. That is the Aztec Division crown and the 4 seed going into the playoffs, as Polax will square off with Sixburg. The seeding, however, in a lot of games can still change greatly, and a lot of that's going to depend on the 2 matchups in the Wildcat Division. 3 of its 4 teams can still actually win the division. Pancakes will take on CFL, and Bearju will take on Big Ben. The other crucial matchup of the week, Bucknuts is going to try to fight for their seeding life as they take on AZ Chargers. Chargers can still technically win this game and make the playoffs, but would have to outscore CFL this week by nearly 200 points. That's pretty much impossible, as no team has ever scored more than 180 points total, 185 points total. Pain Trains will take on Greek Thunder in a meaningless matchup. Jammed Toe will take on DM to Carp in a rivalry there. Herbie's going to take on Shots in a battle at the bottom of the Caballero division, and Diabetes and Dirty will face off in what will probably wind up being one of the ugliest matchups in league history. So, we'll hope to see you back next week for the Week 14 regular season finale and playoff preview in the Tucson Tackle Dummies League.